as we all know, common folk do see us scuba divers as just plain old superheroes. I mean, we do breathe underwater. So as soon as your superpower comes out in conversation, you will get asked questions about it. The most common ones I usually get are, do you actually see anything down there? Of course we do. Why else would we go scuba diving if we didn't actually? Plastic bags. And of course the other question is, oh, what about sharks? If there's a shark in the water, we're more likely to dive in because they're actually something really interesting to see. I mean, what are they actually teaching kids in schools these days, man? So in today's video, it's going to be more aimed at the non-scuba divers to try and answer these questions on your behalf. Now, these questions and answers will be aimed at the non-diver level, so let's take a look at common questions asked by non-divers. You get out of the water. So basically, when we dive, everything is built about redundancy. We always dive in buddy pairs, so if one of you does run out of air, then you have a completely independent air source to get you both up to the surface. Everybody dives with an octo, which is basically an alternate air source so that two people can breathe from a single cylinder. We dive with pressure gauges as well, so you can always see exactly how much gas you have left, and we aim to actually get out of the water with a quarter tank left in the cylinder, so plenty of redundancies. Our regulators are also downstream, so if something does malfunction inside, it's actually built to malfunction in the open position, so it will just deliver more gas rather than just shut off. So scuba diving is actually super safe, and running out of gas is a actually super rare occurrence. If you want to, then sure. It's not really the best thing in the world to do. Scuba diving is actually probably one of the best things that you can do if there is rough seas, because once you get down to around, I don't know, 5 or 10 meters, then the water tends to be nice and chilled out no matter what it's doing on the surface. There are medications that you can take, but it's best to have a chat with your dive doctor first to make sure that there are no adverse effects whilst it's under pressure. And of course, remember that they can wear off over time. At first, it can feel a little bit odd because growing up, your body has always told you not to inhale whilst you're underwater under any circumstances. But scuba gives you a nice, reassuring just rush of air when you inhale. It's not like sucking through a hose pipe because the air is actually under pressure. Our regulators are built and adjusted to have the most natural feeling and lowest work of breathing possible, so that when you inhale, it's just a nice. And if you do need to huff and puff, you're working really hard, they will always be able to deliver as much gas as you need, because they're built to be able to deliver gas to two demanding divers at the same time, and that's how they're tested.
All scuba divers are demanding.
Different kind of demands. Only if you're not wearing the correct wetsuit. So much research goes into the production of exposure protection. Our wetsuits are specifically designed to resist compression at depth and maintain body temperature. They, of course, come in different thicknesses for colder waters, and when the temperature does drop down even further, you switch to a dry suit that keeps you mostly dry inside. If you ever get cold on a dive, then you're not wearing the appropriate wetsuit. You'll be surprised how many instructors are actually bilingual. And by the way, instructor trainees, learning a second language is a huge upsell for yourself if you're looking for work. So, maybe brush up on your old French textbooks. So most of the major training agencies have multilingual course materials, and most of them are global too. That way you can do parts of your course at home with a local instructor and then finish things off elsewhere. As long as you like, really. I mean, most recreational dives are around 1 hour long. It depends on how deep you go and basically how fast you breathe. But most dives are at around that sort of 1 hour or less. The longest dive on record is measured in days, but we usually tend to wrap things up after around 60 minutes. If 60 minutes isn't enough, then you can always bring more gas down with you if you want, but we don't like to stay down for too long because then you do get cold over time, and then of course we have to decompress when coming back up. So we usually tend to sort of aim for around 60 minutes per dive. I never have. I actually find a great feeling of freedom because you can go almost anywhere you want while scuba diving. You can go left, right, but you can also go up and down. You can cruise around and check in and under things. I now find snorkeling actually a little bit restrictive because you can see things underwater, but you can't get up close and personal and see all the little details. On scuba, you can actually stay down. You can see the reef and the ecosystem doing its thing, so they're up close and personal. Yes, and that's actually why astronauts train underwater, because the buoyant force equalizes gravity so you can float in the middle of the water weightless. It's almost better than space because you actually have more control. In space, if you're not actually clipped off and attached onto anything, then if you push away from it, you're just going to float away forever. On scuba, you can of course swim to move around, but you can also breathe in to go up and breathe out to go down for small corrections to your buoyancy. You can really do some amazing things in water and experience what it can feel like to be an astronaut, but at a minute fraction of the price to the cost of training to be an astronaut and of course, you know, going to space camp and everything. So what kind of questions do you get asked about scuba? I'll wager that most of you get asked about sharks. But let us know in the comments below. Let's create a discussion and yeah, let's find out what the non-scuba divers ask us all. If you enjoyed this video, then by all means click on that little thumbs up symbol and of course that subscribe button so more of our videos are suggested in your feed. And if you loved it so much, then you can click on that little bell icon so that you are told whenever we upload a video. Thanks for watching and safe diving.
And shop at our Teesprings.
We are an online dive store serving the UK and the world for all your diving equipment needs. So why not visit us at simplyscuba.com or click the box on your screen.